Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I'm going to take another look at this article that I talked about earlier when I was covering the Darth Maul news that came out from those archives books, the archives of the prequel trilogy 1 through 3. And this website here, it's on medium.com by Andrew G, that was started on January 1st of 2018. It seems that he continuously updates this article with any new piece of information that comes out, because what he's actually done since this morning, he's actually updated this article with more information from those archive books that you can actually buy and order now. So this is pretty interesting stuff. Again, this is just stuff that he's gotten from those archives books. And of course, this article has pretty much literally like everything that we know about George Lucas's sequel treatments. This article has it in there. So this is actually really interesting. But we're going to start right here. I thought about reading the whole thing, but it would honestly, I'd sit here for an hour and I'd run out of breath trying to read the entire article to you guys. So here we go. Right, as part of the book Star Wars Archives, episodes 1 through 3, Author Paul Duncan interviewed George Lucas. During this interview, George talked more about his plans for the sequel trilogy. Okay, so some of this is going to be stuff that I talked about in my last video about Darth Maul, but some of this is brand new information that's in that book that not many people are talking about because the Darth Maul thing is kind of overshadowing everything. So let's get into this. Okay. So this is George Lucas quotes. I had planned for the first trilogy to be about the father, the second trilogy to be about the son, and the third trilogy to be about the daughter and the grandchildren. Episodes 7, 8, and 9 would take ideas from what happened after the Iraq War. Okay, you fought the war, you killed everyone. Now what are you gonna do? Rebuilding afterwards is harder than starting a rebellion or fighting the war. When you win the war and you disband the opposing army, what do? The stormtroopers would be like Saddam Hussein's Ba'athist fighters that joined ISIS and kept on fighting. The stormtroopers refused to give up when the Republic wins. That actually kind of sounds like the First Order, to be honest with you. That sounds a lot like what the First Order essentially is, I guess. They want to be stormtroopers forever, so they go to a far corner of the galaxy, start their own country and their own rebellion. That's basically what the First Order is. There's a power vacuum, so gangsters like the Hutts are taking advantage of the situation, and there's chaos. The key person is Darth Maul, who had been resurrected in the Clone Wars cartoon. He brings all the gangs together. Okay, so this is where we start to get into the page that I talked about in my last video, but there's more context now. So good on this Andrew G person for putting this all together. Paul Duncan says, was Darth Maul the main villain? Yeah, but he's very old, and we have two versions of him. One is with a set of cybernetic legs like a spider, and then later on he has metal legs and he was a little bit bigger, more of a superhero. We did all of this in the animated series. He was in a bunch of episodes. Now, in my Darth Maul video from earlier, I pointed out how the announcement of Michael Arndt joining was announced only several months after the episode Brothers in Clone Wars, where Darth Maul was resurrected. So it's kind of this interesting thing how it was clearly playing out behind the scenes of Darth Maul's coming back. So here we go. Darth Maul trained a girl, Darth Talon, who was in the comic books as his apprentice. She was the new Darth Vader, and most of the action was with her, so there were two main villains of the trilogy. Maul eventually becomes the godfather of crime in the universe because as the Empire falls, he takes over. The movies are about how Leia, who else is going to be the leader, is trying to rebuild the Republic. They still have the apparatus of the Republic, but they have to get it under control from the gangsters. That was the main story. It starts out a few years after Return of the Jedi, and we establish pretty quickly that there's this underworld. There are these offshoot stormtroopers who started their own planets, and that Luke is trying to restart the Jedi. He puts the word out, so out of the 100,000 Jedi, maybe 50 or 100 are left. The Jedi have to grow again from scratch, so Luke has to find 2- and 3-year-olds and train them. It'll be 20 years before you have a new generation of Jedi. By the end of the trilogy, Luke would have rebuilt much of the Jedi, and we would have the renewal of the New Republic, with Leia Senator Organa becoming the Supreme Chancellor in charge of everything, so she ended up being the chosen one. Okay, so that is where the quote ended in my last video. The picture that someone took of the actual page in the book, That is where that quote ended, on that picture of the page. But of course, here's some more information also from that book, which, at this point I feel like I need to go buy. I think it's like a $200 book, but there's a lot of stuff in there apparently. So here we go. This is George expanding on the midichlorians. This is really interesting stuff here. This is the cosmology. The force is the energy, the fuel, and without it, everything would fall apart. The force is a metaphor for God, and God is essentially unknowable, but behind it is another metaphor, which fits so well into the movie that I couldn't resist it. Midichlorians are the equivalent of mitochondria in living organisms and photosynthesis in plants. I simply combined them for easier consumption by the viewer. Mitochondria create the chemical energy that turns one cell into two cells. I like to think that there is a unified reality to life, and that it exists everywhere in the universe, and that it controls things, but you can also control it. That's why I split it into the personal force and the cosmic force. The personal force is the energy field created by our cells interacting and doing things while we are alive. When we die, we lose our persona and our energy is assimilated into the cosmic force. If we have enough midichlorians in our body, we can have a certain amount of control over our personal force and learn how to use it, like the Buddhist proactive of being able to walk on hot coals. Okay, so it is very well documented, and especially in this article, which again, I suggest you read the full article here that I'm reading from, that part of Lucas's treatments were going to explore the microbiology world and all of that, and he's about to get like really deep into it in a second. But yeah, this is essentially the kind of thing that was explained to Yoda by Qui-Gon in the Clone Wars episode, where he talks about the living force and the cosmic force, and so we kind of have that idea, but this is George kind of reiterating it. And here's where he really gets into the Whills. Okay, so here we go. Here's the Whills. Okay, and again, these are quotes from this book that are quotes from Lucas. So this is all like legit stuff, okay? The Whills are a microscopic, single-celled life form like amoeba, fungi, and bacteria. There's something like 100,000 times more Whills than there are midichlorians, and there are about 10,000 times more midichlorians than there are human cells. The only microscopic entities that can go into the human cell are the midichlorians. They are born in the cells. The midichlorians provide the energy for human cells to split and create life. The Whills are single-celled animals that feed on the force. The more of the force there is, the better off they are. So they have this very intense symbiotic relationship with the midichlorians, and the midichlorians effectively work for the Whills. It is estimated that we have 100 trillion microbes in our body, and we are made up of about 90% bacteria and 10% human cells. So who is in service to whom? I know this is the kind of thing that fans just go berserk over because they say, we want it to be mysterious and magical, and you're just doing science. Well, this isn't science. This is just as mythological as anything else in Star Wars. It sounds more scientific, but it's a fiction. It's saying there's a big symbiotic relationship to create life and to create the Force. But if you look at all the life forms in the universe, most of them are one-celled organisms. I think of one-celled organisms as an advanced form of life because they've been able to travel through the universe. They have their own spaceships. Those meteorites that we get every once in a while, they've been living on those things for thousands of years. They've been frozen, unfrozen, and can survive almost anything. The one-celled organisms have to have a balance. You have to have good ones and bad ones, otherwise it would extinguish life. And if they go out of balance, the dark side takes over. Whew. Okay, so that is the end of that. Really diving deep into what the Whills are. They're even smaller than the midichlorians. Wow. And it's definitely pretty much the idea of what I thought it would be when he would talk about how he was going to go into the microbiotic world. It definitely sounds like that's exactly what he was talking about here. And of course, if you go on to read this article, which again, he's updated some of it. I think some of it might have changed a little bit. He's definitely updated the layout, because these bracketed, sectioned off parts were not there originally. They weren't there this morning. So it's pretty cool that he's still updating this article, and we get more information about stuff from this brand new book that's coming out. Now, I am curious if there's going to be even more. If there's even more stuff in that book that maybe this Andrew G person hasn't gotten to yet, and he's going to be updating this article even more later. I don't know. I'm definitely going to check it out. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about all of that, the Whills and the midichlorians. And we have a little bit more context for the Darth Maul stuff. And yeah, I highly suggest that you all go read this article. Again, I know this is like the second video I've made today of saying read this article, but really, because a lot of it is definitely stuff that you've seen in The Art of Force Awakens and The Art of the Last Jedi, and a lot of it is kind of common knowledge by now. But some of this stuff, not a lot of people really seem to ever mention or bring up at any point, but it's like it's all sourced information. You can click on any of these links and it'll take you to where you got the information, so it's not like some random bullshit online. Anyways, so I thought this was pretty interesting. Let me know what you guys think. Would you have been bothered by how much deep diving he might have done on the Whills and the midichlorians? Like, did you want someone to sit there and give you like this whole exposition piece about like, okay, so midichlorians do this and they do that? Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.